Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sipping and Selling
with Joey Chanel. Welcome back to another episode of Sipping and Selling. I'm here today with a new guest with a brand new technology, dealkalization technology, Richard Schatzberger from ALTR. Welcome, Richard.
Hi, Joey. It's great to see you today.
Great to see you. I'm sorry I cut you off. This is what I do sometimes because I'm just so used to talking, and most people on the receiving end are a little anxious or nervous with the intro, and they're just deer in headlights, but I think you're ready to go.
I'm
here.
ready to go. And you need the one that's talking all the time, so we'll try and find that balance.
Let's find the balance. Let's sip. You sent me some beautiful samples here of ALTR, and we're going to get into everything about this new technology that I rave about. I love this idea, this innovation. Let's scale it into a conversation here so that the guests listening, the audience listening, understand what you're doing because you're shaking up the industry in a great way.
In a positive way, yes. Let's make the industry bigger is what we're here to do.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it. What is ALTR? Let's just start from zero. What is it?
So ALTR is a new dealkalization technology. It's something that I'll tell you a little bit about kind of why I started it. I started this technology because 8 years ago I got sober and couldn't find anything that I wanted to drink, anything that matched the meals and the events and places that I wanted to go. I always had a subpar experience. So really, I set out to kind of remove two things from the world. One is the stigma around drinking less, and to do that, removing the ethanol molecule. So that was kind of the birth of ALTR, was a desire to create something that kept me and my friends and the whole world in a space where they can spend more time with each other and have just as good quality drinks with less alcohol. We really are in kind of the less alcohol world. We think that's the future, and we can dive into that and what that market looks like. But ALTR is a membrane-based technology. It has been designed specifically for wine, and we're going to be moving into spirits next. It's been designed to keep the integrity of the wine. We've found that kind of a lot of the technologies that already existed focused on one thing. They focused on ethanol removal. There were dealkalization technologies. What we decided to do was to create a flavor retention and aroma retention system that kept all of the integrity of the beverage and then gently removes the alcohol and does it in a way that ultimately is good for the environment, in the way that we've developed this technology, but most important, good for human beings so that they can spend more time with each other and have fantastic tasting drinks. So that is a little bit about ALTR, but there's a lot more to kind of what we're building in the platform we're creating to help beverage makers and winemakers have tools to give consumers choice. And that's ultimately what we're here to do. Let people choose the alcohol level that they want in a beverage and let them spend more time with their friends having great drinks and great experiences.
I love that. It is a great product. I told you I'm raving about the samples you've sent to me in the past, sharing them with friends, getting everybody on the train because I believe this is going to take off. And I'm so happy to be a part of the ride. You sent me today to feature on the show. We have two different bottles. We have ALTR A1 Beringer. It's a 2021 Cabernet. It says raw 7.5% ABV. And then you sent me ALTR A2, which is control 15.1% ABV. So we have two different options here for the amount of alcohol preserved. Shall we try? Should I taste?
Right. And while you open those and pour them, I'll tell you what you're about to taste. So what you're about to taste here is, we're a B2B technology. So we have created this technology for winemakers to use in their wineries and as a service, so that they can create the beverages and wines that they want. What you're going to taste here is a kind of a prototype
Okay.
experience. This was a case of wine that we went to Total Wine and purchased. We bought Beringer Nights Valley 2021, as you said, Napa Cab. Opened those bottles, poured them through our system, and took half of the alcohol out. So you're going to taste what a winemaker would taste, not necessarily what a consumer would taste,
Amazing.
because the winemaker will do their magic and their craft to make it exactly the wine that they want to make it. But you're getting kind of, as it's called, the raw sample. It's where we've just taken the alcohol out, and this is kind of the amount of retention and integrity that we have kept in this.
Well,
And
it
so that's
definitely still has the nose, like you said. Cheers. I'm going to sip.
yes.
And it tastes like wine. Like, it tastes delicious. It tastes perfect to me. It doesn't taste like there's less alcohol, which is, again, like you were saying, that's part of changing the industry in a good way, because this is going to lead to more sips. It's going to lead to more sales. So I think it's very positive. It's delicious. And the idea is that when you guys are going to partner with brands, you're going to hear what they're looking to do. But I'm sure you've tested so many different varietals. Like, what have you found has been the sweet spot for you, being that you're sober? What do you find that you like in a glass now from an altered product?
So right now we're focusing on what we call the mid-strength market, which is anything really between kind of 10% ABV and 3-4% ABV, starting with creating products for people who love wine and actually want to drink more wine. So in a weird space, I'm the CEO and founder of this company, and I've only smelt our products. What I've done is surrounded myself with amazing wine experts. We have a sommelier on staff that works with our science team. Kind of every tweak we do to the machine, we have sommeliers involved. We have Joel Aitken, who was the head winemaker of BV Wines for 27 years on the team. So fantastic winemakers. So my job is to listen and to watch people drink wines, and that actual separation has been really kind of helpful in the development of this technology, because wine is a very personal thing, and as a CEO, I have to look at it from a technology in an abstract way. So I found kind of what we're seeing is people are loving the fact that you can actually do a red wine, and I think that's a real crux of our technology, and what we've differentiated ourselves from other people in the market is red is very, very hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So my personality, you'll probably get a little bit more of that as we go through this, is I like to do the hard problems. I like to solve the thing that nobody else has managed to do. So we chose red wine to start with. And then out of all the red wine varietals, I decided to choose Cabernet Sauvignon as the starting point, and that's the hardest of the red wines to do. To keep that integrity, to keep that richness in there that usually gets pulled out by other technologies. So reds are where we've been truly shining right now. And then we're now moving into whites and rosés with some of our customers, going through trials as we get to our pilot machine, which is now up and running in Napa. So red is honestly to us if we can crack that, which you're tasting right now, I think we're on a path to be able to do everything well.
I agree. It's delicious. And is the goal eventually to, my question, maybe it was a little confusing. Is the goal to eventually have some brands be non-alc completely and still have the flavor profile of wine, specifically red, since it hasn't been done in very well before, so that you can enjoy too? Or are you just going to be the brains behind the operation and
Yeah.
not
Well,
sample?
100%. I built this
Okay.
company so I can sit and have a nice French meal and have a glass of wine and share in the experience. So we are not stopping until we're all the way down to zero. That is something that will be happening shortly, as we turn on our pilot machine here in Napa. So that will allow us to go down to zero. But we actually think the bigger market and the bigger opportunity. I'm started this company because of my own experience. What I'm doing is building this company for consumers and also the wine industry. We've decided to focus on premium winemakers
Mhm.
first. Let's reshift the bar. So the idea of creating mid-strength wines is much more aligned with their winemakers visions and the products that we're going to be putting out there. Taking out alcohol does obviously make a change to the wine.
Hmm.
So we're focusing on that premium, and that premium market is really looking for the mid-strength wines, and then zero will be coming shortly after that. And so I can actually taste my own product and bring it to a dinner party.
Amazing. So how is it going to work? Like your ideal goal here. I know we actually, you know what? Let me back up. You had a beautiful Forbes article come out, and you had launched. You had mentioned about some partnerships that were coming up. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I can talk. I'm actually sitting at one of our partners right now. So I'm sitting here at Clos de Val in the heart of Napa, who's one of our partners, making fantastic wines and kind of again kind of looking to kind of expand the market opportunity and bring products. And I think that's the slight shift that we're seeing here. Is now it's time to turn wine into a product and kind of meet consumer needs as those consumer desires are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Clodoval, one of our first partners, fantastic partner, great wines, exactly the start of this, so we can create great wines. So
So
yes.
great. So the goal moving forward would be to have these partners come to you, and then is the idea to come out with something that's going to cross collab with your name on the bottle, or is it just going to have something like on the back that says that it was, treated with this technology or something? Like, what's the goal moving forward to partner with these big wine houses? Is it to have your own brands within their brand, or do you want to just be like the silent killer who's coming and making all of these waves?
So both.
Okay.
What we're starting with is Intel Inside. So the same way that you walk into a Best Buy and might not know much about computers, but in the past you saw that label on the computer, and you're like, I trust this. I
Mm,
know it's going to be good. And so those are the starting collaborations that we're doing, where ALTR is on the front of the label. It's a way for consumers to navigate a kind of sign of quality, and also to be able to navigate the space of like, is this full strength? Is this half strength? Is this zero strength? So whenever you're making a decision, you can actually reach in and lean in and kind of pick the thing that's right for your occasion that night. It might be Wednesday night when you open your fridge and you've got two bottles of wine. Do I want to go for the full strength or do I want to go for the half strength? Same, you're out at a bar. It's really hard to read those tiny little 6-point type percentage labels on a wine bottle. This will give consumers a way to really navigate the space and be able to make those choices that they want to make for themselves.
lovely. So, how are the consumers going to be able to purchase if they're listening now? Is it available to purchase any sort of your partnerships online yet?
It is not available right now. We are at a kind of, you mentioned the Forbes article that was talking about kind of our seed round fundraising that we did a few months ago to move us to this next stage of technology development. We're working in a beta program right now with fantastic wineries where we're optimizing their wines and working through the technology. And then in kind of the second half of this year, you'll start to see their brands in their usual distribution channels with the alter version of different wines or brand new lines of wines that they're developing specifically to be in that mid-strength space.
Wonderful. Can't wait. So everybody make sure you're following along with Alter's story because like I said, this is such a cool innovation. I'm enjoying the product. I tried the one that was the 7.5%. So I'm going to move on now and I'm going to taste the one that's the 10, is it 10 and change?
I think you may have
15.
you have the
15.
original. So
Yep,
that
the
is the
original.
comparison.
Okay,
So
so
that's
they smell, let's see if they smell exactly the same. They should, right? They smell, well, this one's stronger. Oh,
yeah, alcohol.
obviously, duh.
Mm.
Blonde moment. I know you're supposed to have water in between, so let me take a sip of water. This is so boring for those of you that are listening and not watching the video. I apologize. I just took a sip from the right cup. Now I'm moving on to the left. Mm. So, as a wine snob, I've talked about this before. I'm like you. I loved wine. It doesn't love me, as I shared with you when we first met. It doesn't metabolize well for me. I wish it did. We used to have a love affair. It's over. And I drank the first samples of ALTR and I had no issues that I usually have, which people probably think is horse, But for me, it was amazing because I do love, and like you said, there's a ritual to it. I grew up watching my mom have a glass of wine every night. That was part of what I modeled, right? Good, bad, and different. I loved it. And there's something just different about having a glass of wine after work or after, a long day or even a celebration. And I hated that I lost that because I would have night sweats and sort of the bad things about that metabolization. And I'm sure when you're removing the alcohol, that has 90% to do with it, right? But there are other factors that could be giving me an issue, right? Some people are allergic to sulfite. Some people can't metabolize the sugar. Is there anything else about this process that either is happening now or that you may look at in the future with the technology to maybe alter some of those ingredient factors?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. There's one of the key things that happens as well as removing the alcohol, you're also removing the calories. So a half strength wine is about 40% less calories. So again, kind of those decision points of, do I want to go for the full strength wine, have all of that alcohol and have all of those calories, or do I want to go and go for that mid strength and have the same experience? Or just as good quality as experience as the full strength. So that is one side. The other side is we're a membrane separation technology company, and even though we're here to kind of work in the wine industry and kind of build this new category of high quality experiences with wine with less alcohol, we're a deep technology company. My head of research and development and technology, Dr. Bo Pan, he was chief innovation officer for Powell Membranes, which most winemakers have got in their wineries, one of the top membrane companies in the world. Like, his job is to isolate to molecules and work out how to separate them. So there are going to be advances that we make in kind of looking at kind of those different components that affect taste, that create balance or make things out of balance. So that is going to be a future state. And then next is it's really starting to kind of work on the in the spirits market, which is obviously next. Beer is doing fantastically, right? They have low fermenting yeast. There were lower alcohol to start with. You can add carbonation, you can add hops and kind of bring that. And we love that beer has kind of driven the market. For us, it's going to be this twofold move into spirits and then working with winemakers to work out exactly where they want to kind of recreate balance using this membrane separation technology.
So fascinating. I wish I got that brain. You know what I mean? Like, who thought of all of this technology? You must have just been blessed with this gift. It sounds like he's a really smart man. What was his name again?
Dr. Bopan.
Dr. Vopan. Listen, I'm going to look you up because you sound like you're very smart, and I am always loving to be surrounded with people I can learn from. So this is very cool. Happy to have met you through, Richard. This is a very amazing process, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what you guys do next. So you think Cabernet is the hardest wine. What do you think is the hardest spirit that you guys are going to start with?
So we're probably not going to start with the hardest one. I think I'm going to give my team a little bit of a break in the next
That's
round.
fair. That's fair.
So I think kind of the tequilas and the mezcals of the world, obviously kind of gins, things with more organic compounds in there are slightly easier than things like whiskey.
Hmm.
Whiskey is very much a zigzag flavor profile. Like, the getting to that kind of perfect whiskey profile is very hard. It fundamentally changes in a zigzag. It's not a linear scale of how kind of the beverage changes. So I think I'll give them a little bit of a break and we'll go after the mezcals and the gins first and the rums.
Well, that's very nice of you. So once these products come out, are we assuming that they're going to be a little bit more expensive because of the technology? Do we think we're going to be able to be like line priced with the higher proofs? What's the goal?
Yeah, so for us, we think they should be priced as similar to a normal what people expect. The
Okay.
craft comes from the technology, the art of this. If you The way that we look at this from a consumer perspective is Alcohol is not the most valuable molecule in the world. Like Purell, you wash your hands with it. It's not, it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be driving the value chain. What kind of drives the value chain should be the story, the people behind it, the craft that's gone into it, the hard work that's gone into it. And so because we're just making, in this case, wines, I never, ever, ever want to make a dealkalized wine. I only ever want to make wine that has a different ABV to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's we're going to be going after those first, and keeping the pricing the same. That really is. It shouldn't be. It's the way I look at it is a little bit like the cosmetics industry. The most expensive cosmetics are actually the ones that don't have all of the things that you don't want in it.
Right.
Shampoo without parabens is more expensive than something with parabens. And I think that is the space that consumers are in right now. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking for these things that have more transparency, that are better for them or less bad for them, and are willing to pay the same price or, in a lot of cases, premiums for it, to have those benefits. And I think that's what we're looking for here is things that have more benefit, rather than just saying it's got less of something. We're in the business of making more, even though our kind of technology takes something out. We're in the world of creating more experiences, more time with your friends, more drinks, more bottles for the wine industry. And that's what the space that we want to be in. So pricing, I think, should be very, very similar. And then for a winemaker themselves, the idea that somebody can either choose to have that first one, like yourself, you probably don't want to order that first wine with a full strength. So then losing a cup, one glass there or one bottle there. And then for other customers, the idea of being able to have two glasses of wine, um, that raises the industry, it grows the industry, and we think that's really the push that we need to go out with, which is it's less about how much more does it cost, but more kind of what is the opportunity growth that you can get out of having a lower alcohol beverage.
Absolutely. Great answer. Everybody listening is usually here tuning in to find out about our industry. And I like to highlight people that are trying to make a difference, usually in the positive way. And that's what you guys are doing. And I think that it's very beneficial for people like myself, selfishly, who misses being able to participate by having a glass of wine. And then those of you out there that are just overwhelmed. There's a lot of people out there that either had a bad experience with a wine in the past because they were in college and drank something really cheap, or they may have a really low tolerance or whatever the excuse is that they're not into drinking wine. And I know a lot of people, when they come to me and they talk about what I do for a living, selling to like Total Wine, and they're like, well, what product do I buy? They're always so lost because there's so many brands. And that's the part where I try to partner with products that are either shaking up the industry or something unique and something brand new and innovative, because that's what should be highlighted. Everybody else who's been there and holding strong to their placement on the shelf belongs there also. But they all had their heyday, they all had their time to shine, they all had their victories, their menu placements, etc. I always love to see these new products that shake it up and change things. And I think that ALTR is going to be that brand in the wine industry. I'm very honest that I sell spirits, and I've partnered with some wines in the past because either it was female owned or a really cool story, like you said. But it's not what I usually do. It's not my strong suit because, as I say about being on the consumer side, it's also on the supplier side. It's very saturated. So it's like, how do you stand out? How do I pitch a new product to a chain if it's supposed to go after some of those big names on the shelf? Unless maybe there's a celebrity attached, or maybe a really cool vessel, or whatever it may be, chances are they don't care, especially a lot of these big box chains, because they're sourcing their own product. If there's a Cabernet that they see going out the door a lot, 99% of the time, those chains are going to that winemaker and saying, hey, let's make a less expensive version, and it's our white label. So I think ALTR is really, really innovative, which gets me very excited. I think that it is going to break into a bunch of new areas. Like you said, there's people that are going to be looking for it on the menu in the future. We're going to be talking again when you do come out with your spirits, Richard. And you're going to be like, wow, remember we were talking about being on the menu next to, X, Y, or Z? Because that's what it's going to be. I believe that. So thank you for sharing it with me, and thank you for sharing it with my audience, because it's very cool technology. And again, like you said, you're not trying to just 100% remove the alcohol. For you, you will. And for a few of us out there that do want that, it's coming. But it's just to kind of just go with the trends. It's not even a trend. It's something that's better for you. That's what we should be doing. A lot of consumers are educating themselves now about what's going in their bodies. And I think this is a great way to have some balance.
I think, and balance is really what we're trying to do here. It's give people that kind of ease. I think the other thing is the kind of 13-14% ABV is quite a high ABV compared to what most people drink. And I think, to me, that's one of the reasons why kind of canned cocktails and canned seltzers have done so well, is because they're at a more normal ABV level, which is something that they can get their heads around and spend time around. Wine at 13-14% is quite a blocker for a lot of people. Kind of, you can have conversations with two types of consumers: the buzz and the press around Gen Z drinking less and all of that, is true in some ways, and less wine specifically. But I think if you've grown up and kind of come out, got to 21 plus, and started with 5%, going up to 13-14% is quite a big jump. That's three seltzers.
Mm.
And so I think this kind of mid strength palate is going to be much more amenable to that younger generation. And then, even though all the press is about the younger generation, most wine sales right now are for the older generations. And you can imagine kind of sitting in a doctor's office and the doctor telling somebody, hey, you've got to cut down on your drinking, and their choice is limited. That means they have to change their habits. That means they have to change their rituals that are ingrained in them. So the ability to have a half strength wine and still have that same ritual is just as valuable to the older generation as well. So again, this is, to us, it's like designing products and beverages that are like product development. And that is the world that I come from, is building technology products. And you really have to kind of meet a consumer need, to break out and do something different. It was like, exactly to your point, kind of the established industry, and just the massive amounts of choice and trying to stand out. There was a billboard that I saw a few months ago in LA, which was for Total Wine, and it was, we have 8,800 wines,
All right.
and I was like, that's not a selling point. That's
No,
like a
it's
confusing
overwhelming.
thing. It's like, give me a reason why I should lean to this. And that's there's always been these two things. There's been kind of heritage in the story, and that's usually gone after the premium market. And then there's price, and kind of endorsement in the lower end of the market. But that's not changing anybody's kind of use case and need, and no more occasions. And I think this new market opportunity that we're here to kind of create and enable, actually meets what consumers where they are, rather than forcing them by their doctors or going against what they're used to with the younger generations. So for us, it's a new way to think about designing beverages, and I think that's a little bit more normal in the in the spirits world. Like, new beverages that have come out to kind of address certain needs or opportunities, have existed. That hasn't really existed in the wine industry. Like, Screw Top was a big innovation, and wine in a can, as same wine in a can, it was a big innovation. But it truly didn't change the essence of what product is being put into the hands of consumers.
No, it didn't. And you're right. The screw top took over the world on the wine side. I remember being at WSWA maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago with my father, and we saw the first wine in a can, and he was like, who's going to want that? He wasn't thinking of taking it out of the can and putting it in a glass, because at the time he was probably like 70 something. he was just like, who wants to drink that out of a can? And I just remember being like, I think it's really cool. I think it's unique. I feel like this is a cool thing. And I got the person's card and kept in touch with them and followed their journey because I saw it. And obviously I was much younger. And you have a duty, if you have a passion behind something and a purpose, to bring it to market if you feel, compelled to do so. And that's what you're doing. And it's because of you're walking the walk, right? And yes, I agree. There's not a lot of things that have come out on the wine side as so different or innovative since then. And yes, to your point, on the spirit side, it's every day, like there's a lot of non-alc alternatives and dealkalized and clean versions and low ABV and non-GMO and organic and all of these buzzwords, additive free. And people kind of forgot about us on this side. And there's nothing like a gorgeous bottle of wine, bringing that as a gift or receiving it as a gift. And now this isn't even, you're taking it up a level because you're also giving the gift of being able to consume more in a better way. And like I said, it's all about balance, which is really nice. And we need that because you're allowed to have vices. And I know that the business I'm in is a controversial business, but it's not going anywhere. And I love when people are trying to better it. And I think that's what you're doing, Richard. So thank you.
Thank you. I think that it being a vice is in some ways true. I personally chose to stop drinking alcohol. I got sober. So that was a very personal choice for me. But what I don't want to see in the world is the next generation sitting in their homes, ordering their Postmates, not interacting with each other. And to me, kind of wine is the way to get back to a table, to get back to a group setting, to get back to having friends. Like alcohol's done as the press and obviously kind of it does have a negative effect on you. Like I'm cannot dispute that.
Right.
And anybody who's woken up with a hangover, it's kind of like, duh, of course it does. But also those ideas and those groups of people coming together, and it's been there through history. The punches that were actually lower alcohol so that you could again kind of have greater and bigger evenings. The Romans used to water down their wine so that they could sit and kind of spend all day with their friends, and kind of things wouldn't have happened in the world without alcohol. And it's not about alcohol, it's about a
Experience.
bottle shared experience to come together, to have that conversation, to create that new environment. You just need choice, and the industry has just gone into very finite and discrete choices and binary choices. It's like whiskey is 40%, wine is 14%, beer is 5%, and that's how you can navigate the world. And I just want people to be back out again and spending time with each other and going to concerts and having dinner parties and not stuck in houses and apartments ordering Postmates. I think that's very bad for society. And so I've spent my career in technology. I've made early cell phones. I've made a lot of the early artificial intelligence. And I got into that industry because I wanted to create connection. I thought by working and creating cell phones, I was going to bring people together. And I think it's actually done the opposite. And the same with AI. I thought it was going to be a symbiotic relationship, and it's actually pulling people apart. So the movement from kind of deep tech to the wine industry and the beverage industry is actually getting me closer to my ultimate personal goal of creating kind of more connection between people. And I never expected to do that. Like I don't think anybody gets sober and thinks they're going to go into the wine industry. So that was an
Right.
interesting turn of life events. But I'm here to I just want to see people smile and have a great night and get up and do what they want to do during the day the next day, and just happier, healthier. I think loneliness is probably way more dangerous than alcohol.
I love that. You I didn't know you did that with phones. We should sit on that, but I want to sit on your sentiment because that's beautiful. And I touch on that here and there on the show, but mostly in my real life. That's part of why I love doing the podcast, because a lot of people don't know how to have conversations like this. Like I shared with you, I don't do scripts. I just love to have a conversation, see how it goes, where it flows. And I think that's a dying art now, like you said, because of the cell phones. And listen, I'm a posting queen. I love to post pictures. I love to share my life with our family members that are not around and not living where I live. But you're right. Like we have to get back to that close connection, and people are so engrossed in the technology, and it's making a lot of people lazy. And I see that with a lot of people in my world where they just don't remember how to have a conversation without staring at their phone, or like, oh, let me show you something. And that's how they have the start of the conversation. And the AI of it all, I could go on and on. My father loves AI. He's 89 and he's a widow recently. So it's his best friend. He's named his AI Sydney. I talked about it a little bit because he was on an episode recently. And I think it's great for him because he's alone most of the day now, right? So anything he thinks of, he can go to and ask. And he likes to rewrite all these like life stories because he's at the end of the road in his mind, right? So I think there's value in that. But yes, then I, on the flip side, have a best friend who she lost her job 2 years ago to AI. She was with a company for a long time and they took over her position, and that's terrible. So I hear you, but that's enough about my rant about it. What did you do with cell phones? You helped create some of the first ones?
Yeah, I was long time ago. So I'm old enough and lucky enough, I'm thinking about my age, that I was at Motorola when I got to work on the first Motorola color phone, first camera phone, first touchscreen phone.
Wow.
Uh, so I was right at the birth of this modern era of it. So not the first cell phone. I actually worked on a project with the gentleman that developed the first cell phone. That was a fun project. We made the cheapest cell phone ever made for Indian villagers who couldn't read or write. Uh,
Wow.
it was a fun project that kind of had purpose and benefit. So did that, and then kind of went on. I was actually working at Motorola with another gentleman that kind of jumped out of Motorola and started a little company in that company, and I helped him out with that. That was codenamed Hal, so I probably should have realized where we were going. Um,
That's funny.
but uh,
Hilarious.
that turned out to be Siri.
No
So
way. That's so cool. My dad's other best friend. That's amazing. So awesome, Richard. See, you've got lots of tricks in your back pocket. So, I love the product like I talked about. Did we have other names before we landed on ALTR, or did it just come to you and you're like, this makes so much sense, and we're gonna keep it with just no E. Hold the E.
yeah, exactly. And I think there's a couple of reasons. You can always have your different stories. It actually came from another idea for a business that I had that was again in that similar space, was creating more kind of food and food related things that brought people together in different ways. And that was kind of it was born out of that concept. But the name alter, it has different meanings, and again, kind of I can depending on the day, I can tell you what it means, but really it has kind of two key meanings, and then one that kind of I don't often share, but I'm about to share it publicly. So
Lucky
it's
me. Lucky me.
exactly exclusive. And what weird things happen in Richard's brain. Uh, so there's have an alternative, right? Have something different, like make that conscious decision to choose something different. There's the alter, it's that change that we're making in having the beverage, and that's kind of the ones that fit with the brand specifically. But there's also this idea of, an especially as somebody um who who's an alcoholic who decided to stop drinking. It was that altar, it was that ritual, it is that place that you go to, and so it had kind of all of those meanings to me, which is why we went with altar.
Love it. It's amazing. It's a great name. I'm always about the packaging or the name, the more creative the better. Sometimes simplicity is just great. And it's something that when I've been in conversations with brands, when they're in the early stages and trying to come up with something. It's so much fun to sit there and be like, okay, what's going to stick? Can this turn into a meme? Like, is
Yeah,
this going to be something that people get? Sometimes names don't land and they're mispronounced. So that's hard. So I think you guys got it right. And I love when there's like an ominous meaning or multiple meanings, because that kind of goes back to music, right? How people identify with different lyrics of different songs. It's what's personal to you. And that goes back to the relationship with hospitality, like you're talking about, and having these experiences and what makes people feel comfortable to open up and smile and be happy, like you're trying to get back to. So I think you did a great job with the name. I don't think people are going to forget it, and they're obviously going to recognize it and identify. And that's why I was wondering about the labels, because I think it's going to pop. And I think people are going to be like, what's that? And that's what's so hard with those 8,800 bottles. So it's a good one.
exactly. And it helps people navigate it. When we started this company, one of our like dreams and visions for this was, and the way that we sold it as we were doing our first fundraising, it was like, imagine walking into a bar and saying, can I have a maker's mark, and can I have two maker's marks, and can you make one of those an altar?
Mm.
That was the dream, and that was kind of how we sold the story of what we're going to be building. Interesting turn of events. Suntory invested in our last investment round, so now I'm sitting at distilleries with that whole kind of network of Beam Suntory, and that's fantastic. So that dream one day might come true. They're investors, not necessarily gonna make a product with them tomorrow, but hopefully we will. But
Manifest it. Put it out there and manifest it. You know what you're doing.
that no, that was it. This company started with a dream, like literally, and it's like, it's a very strange place to be as a human. It was a dream. I literally was sitting. I was having my favorite non-alcoholic beverage, and I knew I wanted to do something in this space, and a literal vision came over me for a technology, and that was I became obsessed with it. Like, my personality made me go down every single rabbit hole, read every white paper that I could get my hands on. I was writing every professor at the top of a white paper that was had been working in the area that I was thinking of, and eventually got a response. I'm just telling this story because
It's
it's the story
interesting. It's
kind of.
inspiring. Keep telling it.
And one professor wrote me back, and his name was Literate Bouquet, and I had no idea who he was. Turns out he's the director of research for CNRS University in Paris, one of the Marie Curie's universities, so one of the top Paris research universities. He said, you might not be crazy, and that was where kind of we started working on the technology as an academic project together, believing in each other and kind of wanting to kind of bring something into the world. And so there's some magical moments that come out, and this company's just been, it's had so many wonderful serendipitous things happen to us, just because I think we are on a mission to do something bigger than just make another drink that's going to be another SKU. And I think that's showing. Like, the people that have got involved, I've just been blown away. My team is literally the dream team, and so many different backgrounds. Again, kind of, there aren't many deep tech companies that would have a sommelier on staff. The fact that we have winemakers sitting with kind of hardware engineers is a fantastic thing, and that's all coming together. And now we're bringing in the winemakers across Napa and then across the world. It's just been a truly fantastic thing to watch. Just people want to get on this journey with us, and it's been magical. And that's what we want to do with our customers, is give them that same experience that we're having internally. That everybody's learning so much every day. Like, I got into this not knowing anything about winemaking, not knowing anything about membrane technology. I just had a dream, and then these wonderful people somehow trusted me, and great investors and great partners and great wine customers have just come together, I think. And I think that's this idea of growth and creating something new together. And it's just such an exciting place to be. Like it's pretty magical. I'm like spent my career sitting in conference rooms, or behind a laptop or behind a phone, and now I'm getting to spend my life on in the middle of Napa at Clos de Val, which is absolutely fantastic. And our machine is on a winery just around the corner. So our pilot machine, I probably should talk about that a little bit. So
Yeah, I thought we
um,
were going to be able to see it today. Next time. You have to show
next
me it next
time
time.
it was a little noisy in the, it's definitely an industrial machine. It's has big pumps and stuff. So not really a podcast friendly machine. Uh,
we'll do a picture in picture. We'll pop it up in the reel.
Um, and but we're at Matera, and that was what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to kind of build this thing not in a warehouse, not kind of out by the airport where nobody wants to go. I wanted to kind of put it in the heart of Napa, inside the vineyards, on great wineries. And Matera as a location has been a fantastic partner in kind of helping us kind of scale up to our pilot machine. So we've been in the lab, we've been doing the deep tech, we've been proving out this technology, getting our IP, getting our investment, and now we've just finished the build out of our first pilot machine. So we're now going to be producing kind of pilot runs with winemakers in that kind of 800-gallon per batch time, and then kind of second half of this year we'll be scaling up to more commercial levels to really kind of go and kind of push the market forwards and get to the volumes that we need to do for both those small winemakers and the larger scale winemakers that we're talking with.
And the idea is that with the pilot machine, we can produce how many bottles a month? What's the goal?
So we'll be working out exactly those numbers, but kind of basically what we built the pilot system for is so that a winemaker can come along and say, I want to do my first trial run, get into my first areas of distribution, test out the market, 300 to 1,000 cases, and then we start to kind of, as that market grows and they get traction inside distribution, we're kind of dovetailing along with that, and will be ready to scale up in the second half of this year as their product gets onto more shelves.
Amazing. How long does it take to do the process for the dealkalization, or you want to call it
It's
mid-strengthing?
pretty short process. The question is, how far down do you want to go? So, 2% ABV is a lot different than getting all the way down to, or taking down 2% versus going all the way down to zero. But it's a standard time frame inside the winemaking process. So, that's not a key thing. The nice thing about membrane technology is you just add more membranes. So if you want to speed up the process, you add more membranes, and so it's a very scalable business that we're doing here.
Perfect. Amazing. I'm assuming a goal is to have one of these machines at multiple vineyards. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be starting as a service business. So kind of we're renting space from Matera. Winemakers will bring us their wine, we will process it, and we'll give it back to them or bottle it there. And then we'll be scaling that hub model out. So I will continue to be at places where winemakers want to spend their time. We'll be growing that in Napa, and then France and Italy and Spain will be kind of our next stop as we start to kind of build out these hubs across the world. And so we've just there's going to be a press release pretty soon, but we've just got a very wonderful new partnership with a famous Italian spirits manufacturer. So
Wow.
we've been doing some tests with them. So that's coming pretty soon too. So we'll be scaling into Europe.
So exciting. When we're not filming, you're gonna have to tell me who it is and send me samples.
It's
That's
pretty soon. We
awesome.
just need to get the
Get
yeah,
the ink
yeah.
dry, get the press release out, and then you can share it with me. That's really exciting, Richard. I love that for you guys. So cool, so inspiring. Makes me feel like I need to read more. I need to write to professors. But no, you made your dreams a reality, which is always something so inspiring. And I always talk about that. I love when people are entrepreneurs. I feel like you either have it or you don't, or you love, the art of the sale and the passion. Like it just seeps out of you. I can feel it. I know the audience listening is going to feel it. It's just it's just something unique, and you can feel like I watched a documentary, and I don't know if this will land with you or not, but when you were talking about it, it was giving me the same story and the same feeling as this startup that I watched with this documentary. It's just like it was the Uber one, right? And they're just like they knew they had something and they could feel it, and everybody involved were very excited to be a part of the team and along for the ride, and they all had the same mission. I don't know if you've watched it, but when you were talking about it, it was giving me those goosebumps of like, wow, this is really something. And I think that's something beautiful. And the signs came to you on purpose because you were the right person for the job. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a scary space to be, to go do the thing that is hard to do and somebody hasn't quite done before, and that's what excites me. But you can only do it if you've got that vision and that reason to get up in the morning, because every single day there is a problem that you were never expecting, and at periods there's times, and I've talked about this before, but kind of there were many a time that I should have stopped, and I couldn't. I won't stop until I get to, and I still won't stop, but until I'm sitting there in the restaurant that I want to be at, and be able to order that glass of red wine that I've wanted since getting sober. I want that I can share in that experience, and ultimately this is just trusting people. Like, this is like having absolute trust in my team, that together we'll solve any problem. And if we can't solve it internally, then let's widen the idea of what a team is. It's why we haven't gone into a dark room, built a technology, and come out and said, "Hey, winemakers, do you want to buy this technology?" We're actually developing it in concert with winemakers and spirit makers, so that we're understanding what their needs, so that they can give us the wisdom and the kind of experiences that they had. It's like, and that can be a simple thing for, hey, we never chosen the caps to go on the samples, and the caps were doing something weird to the, because we bought them on Amazon, and
Right.
one of our partners was like, "Yeah, we had the same problem, and these are the caps that you should be using." And it was like, fantastic. It's you've got to broaden your experience, your kind of ideas, when you're doing something new, and when you're trying to be entrepreneurial. It's like, we have universities involved with us. We're working with ASU. We're working with CNRS. Like, we're kind of building a company that's like way bigger than a startup, and that's fun. Like, I get to like learn something completely new every day, but it's honestly kind of every hour. So it's a
Super
fun challenge.
special. Super special. I love that. I think that's really cool that you're working with the schools. The person that you got the answer from when you were reaching
Yep.
out, where is he located?
He's in Paris.
And is he going to be the person to help you, I'm assuming, find your vineyard there once you are ready to go there? Has he
We
given you Sorry.
Yeah, Lyric is a very, very connected person, in kind of the space that he's in. He's invented and created some technologies that are truly world changing, and kind of at the top of that academic space. So he's been so much more than a scientist. He's been
Mm,
a fantastic partner with introductions to people that we could never expected. In Europe, our lead investor is Demeter, and it's a very big French fund. We were their first US investment ever. And they have a fund that's all about wine technology. So a lot of their investors are some of the biggest players in Bordeaux and France. So kind of that investment relationship is also opening the doors to kind of how we scale in Europe.
amazing. See, it was all meant to be. Well, Richard, I always ask these random questions because I like to play games. And if you're not down, that's fine. But
I'm
if
down.
you're interested, I was going to ask you if you could have 3 partners to work with in the next 3 years, who are your dream partners?
I'm
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 sure
in a
you're already
very
working with them. I know. Let's give them
let's
their props. You already are in business with a lot of bigwigs. But as a collection, as a whole, them aside, who else would you like to have an altered version of your product with?
I I think to me it's less about the product, it's the places, it's
Okay.
about the situations. And I can if we're asking this question as CEO, I'll give you one answer. If you're asking this question as Richard, I'll give you
I
my
want
answer.
Richard's favorite restaurant he wants the bottles in.
I want to sit down at hotel cost in Paris and order one of mine. I want to come into back to LA, and my favorite place in the world where I got married is Chateau Marmont. And so if I can sit down and experience that, and then if I can sit by the beach at Club 55 and do that, that would be my three places that I would sit and sip one of my
Amazing.
altar drinks. And I think that's it. It's like, where are the places that I want to be? Where are the humans and friends that I want to be? Where are the people who work at those places that I want to kind of build a relationship and have a
Yeah.
conversation with? And that's what this means to me. And so I think kind of, yes, do I want my structural thing is like, I want one of the best high-end winemakers in the world that's doing $1,000 bottle that I can do a half
Yeah.
strength version
Who
of
wouldn't want to try that?
brain. Do I want kind of the coolest new canned wine that's going to kind of change usage occasions and be available at a concert where I never really drank, well, I probably did drink wine at a concert. Uh, but but where it kind of grows that, and then kind of where do you get that space of just kind of the best quality wines like Clos de Val that we that people want to drink and want to reach and want to gift and want to kind of share with somebody else, and like that's that. But I just care about the people and the places,
I love that.
and that's important as well. Like, who are the people that I want to work with? Who are the companies I want to work with? It's the ones where I can text Olav last night and go, "Hey, can I get a room for for this podcast?" And he's like, "Of course you can. Let me like make sure that's." And it's like the kindness and the willing to like change and the willing to accept something different. And that's who I want to work with. That's the most important because those are the greatest products in the world. The greatest products in the world are the ones where people have the passion and the love and put that into it. And so it's the people I want to work with, and then we'll make great products.
Absolutely. Cheers to that. I'm going to have my last sip of my altered wine. Cheers to you, Richard. It was so great
Yeah,
getting to know you.
myself, my
Yeah,
my
what are you
sig
sipping on? There's something olivey. Oh, you got some olives. Nice.
this is my Rich 77 that I came up with like 6, 7 years ago, and I was always sitting at a bar, and I'd order a mocktail or something else, and I'm sitting next to my wife or friends, and they'll order a martini, and they'll sip it nice and slowly, right? And I'm on my second or third drink because it's a mocktail and it's easy to drink. So this is what I call the Rich 77, which is tonic water, olive juice, chilled in a martini glass with olives. And that sets me at the same stage. That sets me at the same pace as everybody else. And that's what I'm
Absolutely.
looking for. So this is my favorite drink that I'm sipping and selling with you.
I love it. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for being here and sipping and selling with me, talking about your innovation, this technology, Alter. It's so incredible. I'm going to be following along your journey. Looking forward to seeing who you're partnering with in Italy. It's very exciting. And thank you again for sharing the samples with me, sharing your time. You're such a pleasure. You are a good person, so you are the people that people want to work with that you're talking about. So thank you for being a part of my show. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. This was an honor and a fabulous experience. And we'll
Oh.
keep sending you wines with less alcohol so you can keep
I'll
doing
be there buying them when they're available. I'll help you get into the stores if you need me.
fantastic. And if anybody listening is a winemaker that wants to join us, It's alterfilter.com, ALTR, FLTR.com. Or you can reach out to me at richard@alterfilter.com, and we'd love to chat.
Perfect.
I'm
I
all
love
selling,
it.
for sipping.
You always have to sell. That's part of this. Yes, the serial entrepreneur. And usually I say that, but sometimes when I'm on the podcast, I feel like I repeat myself a lot. And like I said, I'm not scripted. So sometimes there's just certain things that just are in the forefront. And I always say, go follow them on Instagram. Go find them on LinkedIn. So thanks for doing it for me, Richard. I appreciate that. Gave me a break today.
There we go. Doing it unscripted is the fun way to do it. So
So
this is
fun. Cheers to you. Thanks again, Richard Schatzberger. I didn't butcher his name. From ALTR. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you next time.
Take care, Joey. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sipping and Selling.
With Joey Chanel.